Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Market Reporter at Nasdaq, with daily insight on the Nasdaq 100 Index, or the NDX, which is made up of 100 of the largest domestic and international non-financial innovative companies listed on Nasdaq. The NDX has been the barometer for U.S. large cap growth and also one of the best performing indexes over the last decade and a half, not to mention one of the most liquid index ecosystems in the world. Joining us this Monday afternoon, we have Joyce, Managing Director on Nasdaq's Market Intelligence Desk, for an update and technical levels to watch in the Nasdaq 100. And Brian, quite honestly, kind of an ugly start to the week, of which promises to be a pretty important week with key inflation data coming out in the middle of the week. And of course, we kick off earnings season with the big banks towards the end.
Yeah, so we are lower today. There's been some, concerning headlines out of China regarding the potential stimulus they may offer up, and some, new COVID fears. So markets are giving back a little bit from what we've been gaining so far this month. So we are higher on the month in July to start the third quarter. And the NASDAQ 100 is up there as one of the top performers. Growth stocks are outperforming. We're seeing, consumer discretionary technology stocks doing well this month. I think they're bouncing off of oversold levels. So the the intermediate to longer term trend is still to the downside right now, has not yet been broken, the trend of lower highs and lower lows.
Yeah, and so Brian, if we take a look at your first chart here, what are the technical levels that you're looking at in the NASDAQ 100?
So we looked at this setup last week, Jill. This is the 30-minute period chart. It really zooms in onto the intraday moves, and we could see back about a month ago there was this big gap lower when the economic data came out on a Friday. I think it was June 10th, regarding CPI inflation data, which we have coming out tomorrow again. And then as well as consumer sentiment, which we'll see at the end of this week. But that created this big gap in the charts. And so the 12,082 level to up to 12,268, that's been where the NASDAQ 100 has been fading or topping out over the last few weeks. So that's right now is the line in the sand for me as to see whether or not we could break this downtrend. You can also note that if you go to the daily period chart, that price range also coincides with now the 50-day moving average, which is where we topped out on Friday, which was the high of this rally off the lows since June 16th. What's been doing well, as we noted, is technology. If we look at the S&P 500 technology sector, we could see that it bottomed a few weeks ago and is now in a sideways consolidation, just like the NASDAQ 100. It bottomed at a prior top from the middle of 2020, which then turned into support in the early to mid stages of 2021. And then consumer discretionary, which is about 15% of the index, similar situation here. It bottomed a few weeks ago, right at the COVID highs, the pre-COVID highs from February 2020. So we're seeing, those major sector indices bottoming at expected support levels, and they're consolidating in this sideways kind of trend. We're not seeing a sharp V-shaped rally to the upside. So I would say that's concerning. What's interesting here is that when we look at the ratio of growth to value, we've been tracking this at least since January. We had the big break in April of this year below support. Because the last few weeks we've seen a rebound in growth stocks that have now been outperforming value really over the last month or so. This ratio has now come back to its prior support level. So I expect this to act as resistance. I'm biased. I'm in the camp that maybe this recent trend of growth outperforming value may be nearing its end. So we'll have to just wait and see how that plays out.
All right, Brian, appreciate the insight as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Market Reporter at Nasdaq.